Rob. So, I mean, you and I have known each other for a couple years, but, you know, for the audience, can you kind of give a little bit of a background on yourself, how you got into this, and kind of what you're doing now?
Sure. It sounds cliche, but I've always had an interest in anything dastardly. I had the good fortune, say about 7 years ago, to get picked up by the government. I spent 6 years working for a 3-letter agency. From that point, I got a little tired of moving at government speed, and I decided to go into the private sector. And I met up with a couple partners, and we formed a security firm where we do security evaluation. And it sounds pretty simple, but what we really do is we break into things professionally. So at its simplest level, we are professional burglars. Companies approach us and they say, we would like you to evaluate our security. We evaluate by actually breaking into a place. And then we go back to the powers that be that hired us and we say, this was the loss.
This is what we did.
This is what we did.
This is how we
did it.
And this is how you can stop it.
Cost effectively mitigate it or train your people.
Yeah.
Types of people that typically hire us are government, high-level commercial, very, very high-scale residential.
Yeah, high net worth individuals.
VIPs or people who have things that they need to protect.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's part of your job to explain to these companies, educate them, and then try and put those security measures in place to help mitigate all these different, not only threats, but you know, potential breaches.
That's absolutely correct. My job is about 20% James Bond, but then 80% education, changing the employee cultures, because that's typically the weak link. So we have to invest that time in showing people how easy it is to gain access to these things. But yeah, it's in this line of work, even residential going all the way up to government, security is always a hard sell, because the problem is we're reactive with security. Money flows only when bad things happen. That's when that financial spigot opens, and by then it's too late.
So one last question for you, and I know the audience is thinking it, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Have you guys ever been caught?
So short answer, yes, we have been caught. Have we ever been caught so bad that that it terminated the mission right there? And the answer is no. One of the things we do is, well, I'll get out a sheet of paper, a little notebook, and I'll say, hey, you know, good job for finding me. What's your name? And I'll take that name down and I'll say, all right, I'll make sure I put you in the write-up. You're the only guy that caught me so far. What I want you to do is just continue letting me do my job.
Yeah.
And then they'll let me go. And I've actually gone right back into buildings and I've actually waved at people on the way out with computers, and, you know, people that have roasted me, and they never followed through with it.
One of the things that we're trying to do with the show is to try and turn every American into kind of that aware person that is looking out for different things. And you know what, that looks odd, that looks out of place. I might want to tell somebody about that, or you see what I'm saying?
One person's house and one person improving his security posture is nowhere near as effective as having a neighborhood where everybody's acting as tripwires for potential bad guys coming in.
Yeah.
Neighbors watching out for each other, being aware of their surroundings.
Yeah, so I 100% agree with you know, you guys doing that on a micro level, and you know, we're all trying to expand it to a macro level to expand it to the whole country. So thanks again for coming. And,
my pleasure.
Let's
My
go
pleasure.
do some cool stuff.
Let's do it. Thank you, sir.
What you're about to see is myself and Rob Pingor from the Core Group do an assessment on your average American home, looking at it from a security perspective, from a bad guy's perspective, to see different weaknesses and different flaws that we can point out, and then we'll show you how to mitigate those risks and flaws and what you can do to make your home more safe and secure. This home behind us, I mean, doesn't really get more average American home than this. We got everything but the white picket fence. So Rob, offhand, as a person driving by or as a person casing the house, what would you immediately pick up?
So when we're choosing a target, we always start with what we can see. I see the dog bowl out in front. That may or may not be a decoy. I see the ADT security sign, whether or not that is a full security system on all the floors of the
or
house.
just
I see empty driveway.
So what does that tell you? That tells you either A, no one's home, or B, they park in the garage. So could go either way. What you need to try and do is control what type of information that you're giving.
This entire neighborhood is leaking information, and
Exactly.
we're just trying to control that flow.
Exactly. So think about that mentality from the exterior of your home. All right, so first thing I can see, which is actually good, you got no windows on the garage.
So it's a two-car garage, and they may have 2 collector vehicles in there,
Yep.
but nobody knows about it. So
Yes.
that's excellent. Exterior lighting, no motion lighting, but
Yes.
still
Yeah.
frosted glass, maybe not be giving the best.
Yeah,
Lumens.
that's not going to put out a lot.
It's not going to put out a lot of light.
And then you got no driveway motion sensor light that would let somebody know it's in the driveway, which would be something great to have.
Lack of cameras. Usually if there's a camera system, it's going to be on the corners. So foliage is kind of a double-edged sword, right? Foliage is good because it affords you some privacy, but it's bad because it also affords camouflage for the bad guy who may or may not be scoping out the scene.
I could hide right here, and literally somebody could come out of the front door, come all the way to there. Let's say their car's right here. They could get all the way to there before I grabbed them.
Absolutely.
So that's a pretty big bush. I would probably trim that down. Right here you see, as we discussed earlier, the ADT sign. Could mean an ADT system, could mean no system.
Yep.
Could have been the other people left in ADT. I've seen that
Exactly.
constantly as well. So it's a very, very common thing. And hey, put a sign there, because if there's a sign here and there's not one next door, you know, they're gonna go next door.
The only other thing I want to add is, you know, once again, we have the presence of the dog bowl.
Yep.
The size of the dog bowl
Yeah, yeah.
is always a factor, right?
Yeah.
A smaller dog, a Shih Tzu, is not going to scare somebody off like a Doberman or a Rottweiler would.
Absolutely.
So some other things we're looking at.
Yep.
You can see that the lawn is all landscaped. It's well manicured.
Nice landscaping all the way around.
You got a brand new
Trimmed
roof.
trees.
All these things are indicative of people who may have some disposable income. So right off the bat, notice this is a recessed entrance.
Yeah.
Which means this entire area over here is obscured from
Yeah.
half the neighborhood.
Yeah, there's only 3 houses right now that could see me working on the door or working on these windows right here.
Right. The lighting itself, not the greatest.
Yeah,
That's
super frosted.
Pretty opaque.
Yeah.
The windows, blinds are drawn. They're open rather. And you can actually see if there's any contact sensors on these windows here.
Don't see it on here.
Okay.
So if I saw this right here, I would say, all right, that's either a small woman or, you know, some type of child.
Certain ages wear certain types of clothing. So elderly are usually more vulnerable than a young, spry, middle-aged couple, right? The elderly are always good marks. So if you see old loafers or old Crocs or something like that, that may be indicative. It's part of a bigger puzzle that lets us know what may be going on inside.
All right, on the door we got, first of all, an outer door that's glass, right? I can tell that's pretty thin. Obviously, another thing you see right here, which is kind of what I call like the worst case scenario, is you got a piece of glass that I could shatter and then easily reach my arm in and get that handle on the other end of the door. The first thing that you have to understand about criminals is they don't care to take a freaking glass breaker or a crowbar, slam that, reach in, boom, they're in the house, done deal. This thing, if I yanked hard enough, I guarantee it would give. On the inside of the door, let's look at what the door is. We've had this unlocked. This is an aged lock right here, which means the older the lock, probably the more it's been worn down, the more susceptible it is to penetration. Am I correct, Rob?
Absolutely. It's definitely not going to have any of the newfangled security pins in there. It's going to be
Absolutely.
old and busted stuff.
Yep.
Lack of a peephole. So whoever's in there, that frosted glass now becomes the enemy. They can't see.
Yeah, they can't see here.
They can't see
They
out.
gotta open the door. Up here, we've got another kind of decorative glass. You know, it's really not good for anything except for, you know, if I was tall or if I stepped right here. This is Tyler Gray signing off. Thanks for watching Gray Man. Please subscribe to watch future videos.